All right, let's work through the practice questions for this part of your tutorial. So the first question we asked pertains to understanding the structure of the makefile. So what I'll do is I'll navigate to the source directory and go to analysis and open the makefile in my editor of choice. So what is the structure here? And we'll see overall there is a command called analyze, and the final product to be built is a file called analysis.html, so our final analysis in the directory gen analysis output. Right, so how is this going to be built? Well, over here we'll see the build rules for this target. By the way, you can also have multiple targets here in front of the colon, but right now we just have one. So we require as an input the RMD of analysis as well as the pre-cleaned file. So apparently there is like a cleaning script. And now we don't run Python, but we actually call R from the command prompt, and we'll pass it a specific argument here to call the RMarkdown render to render our RMD file into a nice HTML file. So note these output names here. This is something that you can essentially just copy paste from my template or modify. And if you don't want to analyze your data in R, but in Python, be my guest and write some Python script. I mean, you can even prototype it in Jupyter or in Spider, and then just paste your code in there, and run then that stuff with Python. But here I'm using R, so this is how you do it with RMarkdown. And up here, I'm just running a simple pre-clean script to produce the preclean.csv. It's called preclean.r, and it's a plain vanilla R file. And I'll call it by using R with the vanilla option, which essentially means don't load any fancy stuff with R. And I'll pass the argument to load that file, preclean.r. And we can take a look at those files too. Just double click on them and open them in R. And you'll see, this is the pre-clean file. It opens the output data set of the data preparation stage. So see here. So this is not going to the analysis stage. It is fetching the output file of the data preparation stage. That's very important, actually. Again, using relative paths, not absolute paths, to make sure that your infrastructure is fully portable to different computing systems. And over here, I'm tagging retweets by first setting a variable retweet to false. And then every time the string RT appears at the beginning of a text, I'll set retweet to true. So this grepl function is a very powerful function. If you just type question mark grepl, you'll get the example here of how to use this command. So I'm adding this, and then I'm creating some directories to make sure that your code runs well, and then I'm just writing my new output file to it. So that's that. Let me just refresh on whether my makefile is up to date by going to source and analysis and typing make n. So I'm clean. So now I'm modifying the script like it was set in one of the questions by actually filtering my data to only stuff where polarity is greater or equal than 0. So first thing to run this actually with relative directories is by clicking on session, set working directory to source file location to make sure that R finds my directory right away. So I run this now, and my data has been loaded. So I type dt and I'll see my data set here. I can also type view dt, and then I'll get it here in a nice tab. So now I want to filter for only tweets which have a polarity greater than 0. Let me check the number of rows. I have 3,500 now. I can also do n row of dt. And now I want to filter, and I use dt, and I'll assign to it a new value. I say dt, it now is dt, where polarity is larger than 0. I'm running this by selecting it, pressing Control Enter, and now I only have 630 tweets. Okay, I'm saving it, go back to my Anaconda prompt, just try make n to see what it would now execute, first pre-clean, then actually building the analysis, and I can type make, and just produce my output results. And my final output now again will be in the gen analysis output folder, like listed here. And the last thing is actually to also provide some summary stats for my analysis. So I'm opening the analysis RMD. By the way, I forgot to install a package here. So let me install it. Install packages, data. No, not data table. It was knitter and ggplot actually. So let me do this right now. And install packages ggplot2. I could have clicked on this yellow button, but I was too quick and skipped it. Now I can again prototype by executing the first cell and loading my data. So right now first cell is run, data is in memory. Up here already see polarity is always larger or equal than larger than 0. I only loaded these 634 tweets. I can get some summary statistics on the n-words column, which is this, and now the task is actually to put it somewhere in the doc. So I'll just start up a new cell with R code. This is the syntax, and I can just type my commands summary, dt, and words, and then also provide the histogram here, and maybe give it a good title, histogram of the number of words. And I'll close again with these 3 characters. Let me prototype it by clicking on this little run button. Looks like it's working. There's a histogram here. Actually, it doesn't look so nice. So let me increase the number of breaks here. Let me use maybe 50 breaks. And you'll already see that the histogram gets a little more fine-grained. So we have a couple of outliers with 200 words, but most of the very polar things have like a very low word count, which is like, interesting properly already to take a further look at. I'm good now. I can save my RMD. I can close R, all happy, and do a final run of my workflow in the analysis. Now just producing the analysis, and I can already start navigating to my output data right here, analysis output, and I have my analysis on the 634 tweets and the polarity of those. Also, how it varies by retweet. Actually, that really starts to get to be an interesting analysis right here. I think, there's some potential, and the word count down here. So that's it pertaining to those practice questions. So I hope the answers were clear, and, keep it up. Cheers.